My name is Angelika Stout. I am in the Marketing and Entrepreneurship department in the College of Business Administration, and I teach business communications. It was for business communications, which is a required class in the College of Business, and we have multiple sections of it, usually between like 10 and 12 sections every semester. We have 2 full-time instructors who teach that class, and then we usually have a cohort of adjuncts, anywhere from 3 to 5 adjuncts who teach additional sections with us. So, because we offer so many sections of business communications, we really wanted to make sure that all of our students in the College of Business were getting the same kind of consistent experience. And we were also having trouble finding a textbook that met the course objectives in the way that we really needed the class to do. And so, combining those 2 things, we decided to pursue the OER opportunity in terms of being able to customize our own content and create the same consistent content for each section of the class. So that was kind of the motivation, for kind of a twofold motivation behind moving to OER. We did not have a lot of resistance to the idea. Mostly there was a lot of excitement about being able to really customize the course content to what we wanted to achieve with our students, and instead of trying to find a textbook that just happened to have everything we had in it. So when we framed it that way to our group of instructors, as you know, this was going to be a participatory effort, and they were going to have input and selecting the materials, and these were going to be more customized materials to our class, I think people were generally excited about that opportunity rather than resistant. So. Well, it happened to be right during COVID, so that definitely did impact how things were. You know, when we were awarded the grant, we were here in person, and then things quickly shifted that semester to being all online, which stalled some of the progress. But I think about a year total, and we were able to, work remotely and figure out a process where everybody could have input. So from start to finish, I would say about a year before we were able to really pilot the content the way we wanted to. For the approach we took in business communications, we decided it would really be better to do like a cobble together approach for OER materials. So we could really pick and choose the pieces that were relevant to our students here at UNO, rather than trying to find this magical textbook out there that just happened to have everything in it, which we weren't able to find. We did look, but we weren't able to find that. So I think we took more of a reverse engineering approach, as in, here's what we want our students to come out knowing. Let's find the resources to make sure that we can meet those learning objectives and design our assignments around that. We had a very organized approach to finding the materials that we adopted for the OER, and it started with myself and the other full-time coordinator of business communications, Mr. Greg Morin, and him and I really kind of took the lead on this, developed a plan for organization, starting with what are our learning objectives, what are the kind of main topics we want to cover in our course. We then had a meeting with our adjunct group and kind of decided who was interested in looking for what. And we let everybody kind of choose what they were most interested in kind of pursuing to help with just engagement for adjuncts. And that was sort of how we split up the work and tried to make it just an equitable distribution, with Greg and I sort of facilitating the process as things came together. So it worked well in the end. For the most part, we were looking for text-based materials, so things to replace a traditional textbook. And for that, we really found a lot of great resources published by Lumen Learning. They were particularly useful and relevant to what we were doing. But we also ended up incorporating and finding a lot of other cool, different types of resources for our students that we weren't necessarily looking for to begin with. So for example, TED Talks and different video resources, infographics, we were able to find a lot of that through our process of working with the OER librarian. And again, it wasn't something we necessarily had in mind when we started, but we were able to really incorporate a lot of cool different types of modalities. Yeah, I think that might be a little unique the way we do that in business communications. So for business communications, we use a Canvas page that all of the instructors have access to. And it basically houses all the materials in the organization of a textbook. So using Canvas modules, we have one module per topic, and then we have all of our OER resources related to that topic in that module. And then from there, we use a blueprint course in business communications, which is sort of like a shell canned course that I can create a preloaded course shell that has all of the content loaded into it. And use that essentially to push out a copy of the OER to any adjuncts or anyone else teaching that class. So I feel like that's kind of a convoluted explanation, but it's a combination of housing the materials in kind of a repository Canvas page and using a blueprint Canvas page to push out a version of those materials that we want to use every specific semester. Yeah, I think that's one of the more exciting aspects of OERs because traditionally using a textbook, you're kind of stuck with that edition until they decide to update it. And so it was really appealing to the business communication instructors, because business changes so frequently, to be able to quickly update and substitute in and out different pieces of the OER content without having to overhaul it. And we do have a workflow for doing that. All of our instructors have access to our OER repository page. So they're able, when they find a resource, they can go in and upload it there to the kind of general repository, so it's there for everyone to access. In addition to that, instructors have their own kind of permission to update their individual set of course materials. So if they have a reading or something that they particularly like to use, they're always free to incorporate that into their course. Students, I think, have been very appreciative, actually, of not having to purchase a textbook that may have minimal return on value for them in the future. A lot of the students who take my class are business students, business majors, but we do have students from other disciplines taking that third writing course with us in the College of Business that are not necessarily going to go on in the discipline of business. And so for them, I think in particular, investing in a business textbook is not something that's necessarily a high priority for them. So I think it just makes it more accessible for everybody. Students don't have to wait on the first day to get access to materials. It's all there for them. And so I think when students really stop to realize what the benefits of it are, they are incredibly appreciative. I think the first big piece of advice I would give is to connect with your OER librarian, because they're going to be a big help in understanding copyright dimensions of things that I honestly just didn't have time to learn all of that in depth. So I was really able to partner with the OER librarian in terms of understanding what's okay to use, how can I use it in my class, and making sure it meets accessibility standards and things like that. So the OER librarian was an incredible resource throughout the transition process. I would also say it's really important to have the support of your department chair or your supervisor before undertaking a project like this, just because if you're doing a multiple section conversion, that's impacting quite a few instructors most likely. And I think it would be probably prudent to have department buy-in and support for a large section-wide change like that, not just one individual's course. I just think the biggest benefit of OER is the flexibility it offers and being able to constantly update it and make it meet your exact course specifications. So it's just so much easier to find the materials out there, and the fact that it reduces the cost and the barrier for our students, it feels like a win-win to everyone for me.